Hello, and welcome to a special episode of the Cantina Chatter podcast. In Chicago, Star Wars Celebration is going on, and this morning, the panel for Star Wars Episode 9 took place. For those of you like me who can't be in attendance at Celebration, they are very awesomely live streaming the major panels from the event on YouTube, so I was able to catch that. And at the very end, we got not only the teaser trailer for Star Wars Episode 9, but finally, the reveal for the title of the film, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. This trailer was freaking incredible. I am all over this trailer right now. I know it's been a bit of a bumpy road with the sequel trilogy for a lot of people. I myself have my own issues with it, but I know that this final film of the Skywalker Saga needs to be satisfying and needs to be a proper conclusion to the Skywalker Saga, which has been going on for decades. So I feel like this trailer absolutely delivered. I am over the moon with everything that I saw. And most of what we saw, can be open to interpretation because it's a teaser trailer, and not only that, it's a Star Wars teaser trailer, so they don't really give a lot away. On the surface, it seems like we're seeing things, but then, as it's been in the past, once we actually see the films, we realize that some of it was misdirection, and some of it just didn't really pan out. So it'll be curious to see what happens with this trailer, but I really needed to talk about this trailer, so my buddy from the Jurassic Park podcast, Brad Jost, is gracious enough to join us for a little bit to talk about the teaser trailer for Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. And then I'll read through some of your thoughts about this new teaser trailer from Twitter. So, joining us from a state in another time zone far, far away, he's no stranger to the show, host of the Jurassic Park podcast. Welcome back, Mr. Brad Jost.
Hey, how's it going? Hopefully I sound okay out here in a galaxy far, far away in my vehicle as I'm driving home, but I am excited to talk about the trailer.
Oh, absolutely, and thank you for joining in with us. The trailer dropped this morning. I was watching the panel that they're doing because they're live streaming everything from Star Wars Celebration. This year it's in Chicago. I wasn't able to make it. I haven't actually been to a Celebration in a really long time. The last one I did was Celebration 4, which was, I think, 2007. So it's been a minute.
Oh, wow.
But it's really cool that you can actually stream it because, you don't have to be there. I'm sure it's more fun to be there, but being able to at least partake in, seeing things at the same moment everybody else is seeing them is kind of a cool thing, don't you think?
Yeah, I wish I have been able to have that opportunity. I've never gone to a celebration before, and the past few years at least I've been just streaming them. And I'm super thankful that they at least do that and they stream the trailers and stuff like that. It's awesome. I watched the Disney Plus panel that they did the day before, and they didn't stream like any of the content that they were showing. Uh-huh. So I was like, oh man, like that stinks. But I like that, Star Wars actually shows you what you're seeing or what they're seeing in the room. So that's really awesome.
Yeah, totally. I wish every convention did that. Wouldn't it be awesome if Comic-Con did that and everything else?
It really would. I like the days of the old, what was it, G4? Is that what the network was on TV, where they would actually stream a lot of stuff from Comic-Con, uh-huh. But then that platform went away completely. So
yeah. So at the end of this panel, they showed the teaser trailer for Star Wars Episode 9. At that point, we still didn't know what it was called. A lot of people had been complaining leading up to this point that, where's the title? Maybe there's not a trailer. Yeah, but where's the title? Ultimately, I think it really worked saving the title for the teaser. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it really worked. And that's what I expected. I didn't think they would announce it anytime during the panel. I think they would wait. And they did. And honestly, I didn't even think to look. I was busy being enamored by the trailer. That part, actually, I just missed it completely. And I wanted to rewind, but I'm like, no, this is a live stream. What's going on here? I was so panicky because I knew they had just shown it, but my eyes just didn't see it. So I thought it was hilarious that I almost completely missed it.
That's funny. Yeah, it's it was really cool. So we got to talk about our reaction here. When I saw the teaser finally, I know you said on social media, you said on Twitter that you cried after you saw it. Not gonna lie,
Yeah.
I was bawling my eyes out just as well. I was really moved by this trailer. I mean, there was just so much in there that I mean, none of us knew what to expect. A few things have kind of been leaking out, like, some of the images, the character designs and costumes, things like that. But I mean, we really don't have too much knowledge unless you're kind of really getting into like spoiler territory and stuff, what to expect. And I don't know, it just really hit all the marks for me of what could have possibly wanted with the teaser trailer for this film. So what was your overall reaction to seeing this teaser?
Yeah, I mean, there's just like a pure excitement when it comes to these kind of events. And I said to one of my friends before the panel started, I was like, this is the last time we know nothing about the end of the Skywalker saga. Like that's just crazy. And the trailer blew me away. I was just like in awe the whole time. And there was a specific moment, I think, like towards the middle of the trailer somewhere where it hit me. Like it hit me real hard. And I didn't expect to get hit that hard because I have mixed feelings when it comes to the last movie for
Uh-huh.
some aspects. I really like the movie overall, but I have mixed results with that. But this one just like it blew me away yet again. I would say like it's probably the second best teaser out of the three because like the first one, I don't think you can beat that when it comes to trailers ever. Like that was the best trailer I've ever seen. The Force Awakens one.
Yeah.
But this one was right up there, to be honest. It was really good, and I was just blown away. And it did bring me like to tears. Like I don't know, something hit me emotionally. Maybe it was like I think it said something about being like the last, or maybe it was around the moment where Leia was on screen. I don't know what it was, but it hit me hard.
Uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a combination of all of those things. You bring up a good point when you're saying that this is the final installment of, the Skywalker story. This is a 42-year-old story that is finally coming to a close. I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's really like Avengers Endgame, but for Star Wars. This is it. Like, this
Yeah.
is the end of that story. And, they're tying it all up with hopefully with a nice bow. And, we're all going to be satisfied with it. But I mean, everything that they did with this teaser really hit home for me. I just think like it was the culmination of everything that we saw that left me with, the impression that I had of it just being like a perfect trailer.
Yeah, it's so funny because prior to this week, I had tweeted out, like, I don't know if this trailer is going to do it for me, if it's going to hype me up more than I could possibly be hyped than I am for Endgame. Because right now I'm just, off the wall when it comes to Endgame. I want to see that. I'm super excited. And then I like retweeted my original tweet. I'm like, all right, it did it. It worked. I am so hyped. And there's no going back now. It's crazy.
It's hard. I still got a little bit of water in my eyes or something. Maybe it's an eyelash. Um,
Yeah, that's what I keep blaming it on.
So yeah, let's go ahead and break down this teaser trailer a little bit based on everything we saw. So it opens up with breathing. We quickly find out that it's Rey, and I thought this was kind of an interesting mirror because in past teasers, and of course in the original trilogy, I mean, who was the person that was always doing the heavy breathing? It was Vader. So I thought this was kind of
Ah,
like a parallel to that in some way. Did you pick up on that at all?
you know what? No, not at all. That's actually really like insightful. I love that. I kind of just picked up on the fact that it was very reminiscent of the original Force Awakens teaser with Finn in the Jakku desert. Like that's what I was. It was like a parallel of that, but with Rey this time. So
Uh huh.
I thought that was pretty cool too. But man, that breathing is really interesting. Something to think about.
Yeah, yeah. And then we see Rey, just like you said, standing there in the desert. And we don't know what planet this is. I know that it's kind of been rumored that the story might be going back to Tatooine. I've seen some people on Twitter saying it looks more like Jeddah from Rogue One. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I have any firm idea yet. I mean, it definitely does look a little like Jeddah. I think there's some distinct differences from Tatooine, but what was it? Anthony Daniels said like when they went there to film, it basically looked like a Ralph McQuarrie, piece of art. So maybe that is the same place. Who knows? And maybe Jakku. I mean, it looks a little bit different than that, but I don't know. I'm assuming it's a repeat place. To be honest, I think.
Yeah, I would assume so. It's hard to imagine they would bring in another desert planet into the Star Wars universe, but
Way too many. Way too many.
way too many. But who knows? So then we see Rey, and it pans down. The camera looks at her lightsaber, which we see it looks like it's patched up. It looks like she's done some repairs on it, possibly. If you've seen The Last Jedi, then you know how that goes down. The lightsaber splits in half, and she's got to do a little bit of work to get it back up to speed. Then it's revealed that a TIE fighter, presumably this is Kylo Ren. It kind of looks like it when it cuts to the hands of whoever's piloting. It looks like his gloves. I can't imagine who else it would possibly be. She does a really cool Jedi-like maneuver that we haven't really seen a whole lot of in this trilogy so far. I know we got a lot of that in the prequel trilogy and a little bit of it in the original trilogy with Luke and Vader and all that, but this was to me like a classic Jedi move, and I'm glad to see that back in Star Wars. What did you think about that?
Oh yeah, 100%. I am fully on board with the prequel era of the Jedi and the way that they move and just how skilled they are. Going back and watching the original trilogy, it's I feel like there needs to be more, and Vader doesn't do that kind of stuff aside from a few little jumps here and there, and Luke does that you blast up into the rafters thing, but but that's about it, so this is I think a welcome return for me. I love the Darth Maul style of fighting and all that. I'd love to see more of that in this trilogy here, so hopefully we get a little bit more.
Yeah, hopefully. And then the next thing we see is it's another planet, I assume. It's kind of nighttime. It looks like there's maybe a Y-wing that's flying by, and it's headed towards a settlement or a town. I'm not really sure because we don't really get a good look at this place. But it's really dark, and it looks like it could possibly be something that we haven't seen before in terms of locations. Any thoughts on what that could possibly be?
No idea. No, I'm really insightful here. I know. I have no idea what that could be. At first, I was it really looks like the planet that was in Rogue One. What was that? Eridu or Radu or something like that?
Edu, yes.
Edu. Oh, okay, Edu. Yeah, I know. There's two planets that have very similar names. Yeah, that one. It kind of looked like that a little bit, but I don't think it's that one. Just the coloring and the style that they shot that with, it looked very similar. But yeah, there is a big little city there, on a hilltop or something like that, and they're flying straight towards it. So I don't know. I'm always interested in new locations and stuff like that to broaden the world and make it bigger. And I think that's the best part about the prequels and the TV shows and the comics and books. I think it's building this big world because mostly the movies have been kind of small, I think.
Uh-huh. Yeah, totally. And that's something I would also like to see, a return to, planets that are a little bit more exotic, things that aren't necessarily recreations of what we have on Earth. I think the prequels did an excellent job at doing that. Planets like Felucia that we glimpse really quick, or Megiddo, or Mustafar, things like that. Hopefully this will be something similar to that, where, it's just a totally imaginative, George Lucas style planet that, we just have never seen.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, and then the next thing we see is Kylo Ren. It looks like he's in the middle of a battle. He is running through the woods, or I don't know. The sky in this shot is red, so I don't know if this is a different planet or what the insinuation is for the red color. But he's full on Kylo Ren here. He's rushing into battle with stormtroopers at his side, and he's cutting down what looks to be maybe a rebel trooper or a resistance trooper or something. What are your thoughts on this moment?
Oh my God. Stylistically, it looks insane. Just the atmosphere wherever they are. It's like you said, it's fully red. It almost looks on fire, but I don't think it is, but it just has that vibe to it. And yeah, he's got I guess a first order trooper behind him, kind of on his side fighting. And then, yeah, somebody comes into battle there. I have no idea what's going on there, but it looks pretty awesome. Just the style of everything. I think that so far JJ is really capturing my interest as far as the looks are concerned.
Yeah, definitely. That's very well said. And they didn't say how long it's been during the panel between The Last Jedi and this film. But the insinuation is that, there is a little bit of a time gap. And it looks like in this one shot that, like I said, he's full on Kylo Ren. It's very Darth Vader in feeling. Have you ever played any of the video games or seen the comics? Vader on the battlefield with the stormtroopers. I really got that sense from seeing this moment in the trailer. It just seems like he's going all out, and he's finally reached maybe that point where he's the true villain, and he's kicking ass, basically.
Yeah, I hope it's very, similar to that moment in Rogue One, because that was the moment that really, really established Vader for me. Like, I know that's odd to say because we had him for so long, but like that moment in Rogue One really just nailed it, for me, because it was so awesome, so incredible, what I've always wanted to see Vader do. So I think if maybe you give that to Kylo as well, like that would be awesome. Anytime Kylo has like just wrecked people, it's been pretty cool looking, to be honest. It's been
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, completely. And it's also notable that in that moment he doesn't have his helmet on, but in the next shot we
Yeah.
actually see that he's fixing his helmet, or somebody's fixing his helmet. It looks like it could be him based on the gloves. So yeah, what do you think about the helmet being back in this film?
But yeah, it's funny that we realize both Rey and Kylo are very good at fixing things, what they've broken. So it's good to know that they have good repair skills. But yeah, I wonder what it means through a larger context, because like, he broke it because he felt like, I guess he was like under Snoke's thumb and just decided to, he had enough of it and enough of hiding and being like a baby under that helmet. I think Snoke said something along those lines. So it's interesting to see him like reforge it and put it back together. Like, I don't know if that means he's going back to his grandfather's mentality or not. Like, I really don't know. It's very intriguing to me to see him go back to that. And also, like, as an actor, for JJ to just throw him back in a helmet so you don't see his face as much. But, I mean, who knows what the ratio is, helmet to not helmet in the movie. But I am very happy to see the helmet back because it was scary.
Yeah, it was scary, and admittedly, when he took it off in The Force Awakens, it was like, okay, well, he took it off. He's not. He's just like a guy.
Yeah, I mean, knowing who was in there, you weren't really surprised, but it is surprising in that universe to have such a powerful authority just be some kid.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know. I kind of have mixed feelings about the helmet being back because, like you said, in The Last Jedi, Kylo's all about, let the past die. And, he breaks the helmet and, presumably he doesn't care about hiding who he is anymore. He wants to just be Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
And, but here he is kind of being wishy-washy, going back and fixing the helmet. And so it's kind of, I guess maybe possibly that's meant to kind of show he's still conflicted about a lot of things and he's not completely solidified in the dark side. I mean, who knows? But it is interesting that that it's back.
Yeah, I think JJ missed that line from The Last Jedi about killing the past, because it seems like he's disregarding that in some aspects, which, I mean, who knows? We'll see what happens as far as that's all concerned. I'm excited to learn either way.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next thing we see is just a really brief glimpse of a few of the heroes. There's Poe Dameron and Finn, and they are just kind of hanging out. It looks like maybe they're on that desert planet. And then there's a shot of BB-8 with that new droid, his new sidekick, whose name escapes me at the moment. I think they mentioned it in the panel.
It's a Dio, I believe.
Dio, that's right.
Yeah.
Dio.
Really awesome looking droid, yeah.
Yeah, the practical robot that they brought on stage during the panel was, I mean, I don't really care for the design, to be honest, but like just the way that it works and kind of rolls around is pretty cool.
Yeah, they're going for a very cute vibe with a lot of the designs, in this sequel trilogy here. Yeah, I don't feel like that was the case originally, but BB-8 is super cute, just a ball rolling around, and then you have Dio, which is like a puppy. Like I don't know, just the shape of it really like felt like a dog. And then they showed the concept art for previous renditions of Dio, and it was straight up a dog. Like it just looked like a dog in the concept art. It's pretty hilarious. Actually, I think it looked. I think there's like a dog robot in Doctor Who that it looked like oddly identical to.
Interesting. So the next thing we see is the Millennium Falcon. It is flying through hyperspace. From their backs, we see Chewbacca, and sitting next to him, none other than Lando Calrissian, which, to me, this was a freaking awesome moment in the trailer. What were your thoughts upon seeing Lando for the first time?
Oh, that has been such a big question for me because, he's really up there in age. I think, what is he, 80
like
at
80,
this point?
Yeah, like 80, 82.
Yeah. So you just wonder, is he going to pull it off? Is he going to be Lando again? Because I don't know, that's important, I think, to be able to pull it off. Harrison Ford pulled it off. He's a little bit younger. Carrie Fisher pulled it off. Mark Hamill pulled it off. They're a bit younger, but he's a little bit older. So I was like, oh, is he going to do it? And he did it. Like, it felt like like Lando. I guess it helped that he's literally wearing the same clothes he's ever worn. Like maybe that. So that's a thing there. But like, I thought he sold it, and it was so short, like a little moment there. But he pulled off the look, the laugh, everything about it. Just felt right seeing him there in the cockpit with Chewie.
Yeah, totally. It really gave me the feels, like, seeing that moment and his excitement at being back in the Falcon. I mean, who knows how long it's been since he's actually piloted. It could have been back on Endor, in Return of the Jedi. So it was super exciting. And of course, I think they really got the look down. That was one thing I wasn't so sure about is, how's he going to look? I mean, he is older. He doesn't really look the way he used to, 30 years ago. How's he going to look? I mean, he looks like Lando. He just looks like an older Lando piloting the Falcon. And I think that's what they needed to do.
Yeah, I think they did it. And, I've seen him on social media. He like posts videos of him from the gym all the time, like boxing and lifting weights. I'm like, man, look at that guy. He's killing it. He's doing awesome.
Yeah, I love seeing those. So after this shot, it cuts to... it looks like maybe we're back on that desert planet again. There's some speeders and what looks to be some sort of a skiff with Poe Dameron and Finn and C-3PO, and they're being fired at possibly by... They kind of look... I mean, we don't really see them very well, but it sort of looks like the snowtrooper style armor that we see in the previous films. And they're like on speeder bikes chasing after the heroes, firing at them. So it looks like maybe this is like a little skirmish or something. They're obviously trying to get somewhere and they're being chased. What I thought was interesting about this moment was that, if it is in fact that same planet that we saw Rey on at the beginning, which it looks to be, then, there's obviously multiple things going on, on this planet. But it seems like we might be getting quite a bit of action on this planet. Was that also your impression?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there was a lot going on that planet. And, in the panel, they actually made mention that this is a big adventure movie. So that was like, I think, really welcoming to hear that it's just full of adventure. It's going to be, trying to find probably something specific. And I'm very excited about that. I love the, Indiana Jones movies and all those adventure kind of flicks like that. So I think that would be awesome. And obviously, Oscar Isaac looks like he's straight out of Uncharted. Like he's wearing the Nathan Drake outfit there. It's pretty remarkable how they just didn't even try to do something different. But I love it. It looks awesome. I wish they'd cast him as Nathan Drake. But that moment is very reminiscent, I feel like, of Star Wars Rebels. I feel like in Rebels, they're always on the run in like a little shuttle of some sort, a speeder or something. It's very reminiscent of that. And then also you have those, like you said, like the snowtrooper looking designs. But I think some of them are like flying, I don't know if they have like a jetpack or some sort of thing. I don't know how they're flying, but like something's flying through the air as well. I think it was them. I don't think it was like a ship or anything. It looked small. So that was interesting to me. I didn't know if it was like something like Star Wars Rebels where there's always like, whether it's a Mandalorian or something flying. I don't know. There always is in that show for some reason.
Yeah, it could have very well been. I thought it was actually just the speeders were like going up, but yeah, I mean, it could have been like troopers with jetpacks.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. It was so blurry and fast that like I didn't know what they were doing so far up in the air. So who knows?
Yeah. So the next thing we see is somebody is holding one of the Yavin ceremony medals that, the heroes get at the end of the very first film. So I don't know if this is maybe Luke's medal or Han's medal that this person is holding. I assumed it was Leia holding it, but I don't really know because we don't see the person's face.
Yeah.
That kind of hit me in the feels a little bit, seeing the medal. I assumed that it was probably Leia like holding Han's medal and just kind of remembering him, or maybe even Luke's, because obviously he's gone at this point as well. What do you think about that?
I didn't even almost catch it at first. I just saw the relic and I just wasn't even thinking about that. And then later saw somebody online. I was like, oh my God, that's right. Jeez, how did I miss that? And it's so awesome. And I would assume maybe like Han or did Chewie get one like after the fact? I think, did they say something like that recently?
Yeah, that was in a recent comic.
Yeah. So like maybe like it's one of theirs that was just stored somewhere on the Falcon and like Rey's like, here you go, Leia. I feel like you needed this, like, or something.
Yeah,
but
good point.
I would assume it's her. I would assume it's her holding on and just reminiscing, and that's really cool to kind of have that legacy moment right there where you're remembering the past, even though Rian Johnson told us not to. But I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, it was really cool. And of course, right after that, we see Rey hugging Leia. And I don't know. I assume this is, some of the footage that they had from The Force Awakens, and maybe they just kind of did a little bit of digital work on Rey to make her look like her outfit that she's wearing in this film. But again, another very emotional moment, because one thing I need to add is that through a good part of this teaser, you have Princess Leia's theme playing in the background. So
Yes.
her shadow is obviously hanging over this teaser. And it was just another one of those moments that, it kind of makes you feel like, this is it. Like, these characters, this is going to be the end of this association with Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Leia, after, 40 plus years.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really powerful. The theme was just, it's iconic at this point, obviously, but it just felt so right and like emotional at that point. And right now, I mean, she and Ben are the only Skywalkers left, so it makes sense to use that theme and carry it forward. So I mean, I'm interested to see how they work her into this movie, because as far as I've heard, they seem like they're pretty blessed with the amount of spare footage that they had,
Yeah.
B-roll stuff or whatever it may be that they had of her, which is crazy. Like, I mean, I know that they have this extra footage all the time in movies, but the fact that they can repurpose it and actually utilize it, like, importantly, or I hope so, at least, like, I hope it works out that way. Like, that's pretty cool if they do, if it works out that way.
Definitely, definitely. So the next thing that we see is the heroes. There's Rey, there's Finn, there's Poe, there's Chewie, C-3PO, and then Dio, the droid. And I think BB-8 was in there as well. And they're on this different. It looks to be a different planet than anything else in the teaser. It looks maybe like grass or grain or something. And then the camera kind of goes around them, and it reveals like this ocean or something with these huge tidal waves and what looks to be the remnants of the freaking Death Star. I didn't catch that at first. I didn't realize it. I thought it was just like a mountain or something. I had to rewatch it, and that's when I was like, oh my god, that is the Death Star. So I have to ask you, what Death Star do you think this is?
I have to assume it's a second Death Star, mostly because of what comes next in the trailer. But like, I was kind of like you, where I didn't even know what it was at first. I was also watching on my phone in my office where my signal was horrible, so it was like not full HD, and I'm like struggling. I'm like, please be HD so I can tell what's going on here. And when I rewatched it later, I was like, oh my god, that's crazy. That's the Death Star. Like, what is going on here? And I put the pieces together a little bit more with the next scene. I just thought, that has to be the second Death Star. I feel like there's no other way around that. And it's interesting because in the movie it legit just straight up blows up completely. So it's funny how that works.
Absolutely. And this is a really cool part what you're alluding to. We hear Luke saying no one has ever really gone, which is a line that he says in The Last Jedi. And then we get perhaps the most epic part of this entire teaser is we hear the Emperor laughing. And it's that classical, maniacal Emperor cackle that he's got. And it's kind of just like one of those like wow moments. Did they really go there? Are they really bringing back Emperor Palpatine somehow? And that does tie into what you said about, this possibly being the second Death Star. Like, maybe he survived. Like, what are your thoughts on that? How could the Emperor tie into this film?
Well, I feel like there's several routes you could take. I mean, maybe he is still alive and he's just been, he's been Darth Maul on it all the way down in some gutter, in the bottom of the Death Star, like waiting for his time and just stewing this whole time, like waiting to get his revenge. I don't think that's as plausible, but I think it was Battlefront 2, and I think maybe in some parts of Aftermath, maybe I think they referred to these Sentinels, which were like robotic beings, I guess, that reflect the face of the Emperor, and I guess to kind of keep his stature like alive.
Yeah,
which I would assume creepy. It has to do with that. Yeah, they're so creepy. I think that would be a good payoff for me. He doesn't necessarily have to still be alive, but I think the use of those would be very creepy, and really cool. I think a new way to tackle somebody still being alive per se.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking as well. He could be alive, he could very well be there, in the Death Star. Maybe this is like the final act of the film, and the heroes have to go confront him somehow. I mean, who knows? It's kind of hard to tell, like, because what you see at the very beginning of the trailer with Rey and presumably Kylo and the TIE Fighter, that kind of feels like it could be like a third act type thing, but it just seems odd that they would reveal something from that part of the film this early on. It does make me wonder, like, what could it be, just a hologram, or did they clone the Emperor the way they did in the old expanded universe? Or, I mean,
yeah, that's true.
It's anyone's guess, but the fact that Ian McDiarmid is back as Emperor Palpatine, I think, is probably the greatest news that we've had for this film in a long time.
Yeah, when he, made his presence known on the stage, that was crazy. That was one of the coolest moments, I think, in like any panel. Like, just like chills came across me. And I've seen him on panels before and stuff, and it's been awesome. But like that moment, you heard that laugh, you're kind of like, I guess you saw the title, maybe not me, but you're just like, what's going on? And then he shows up and then says like, roll it again, or whatever he said. I don't know. Which was just so cool. He is a phenomenal actor, and he's just so iconic, and I love the carryover. If that's the case, if he really is being included in some big capacity here, I just love the fact that they're carrying it over. I hope it's not a Vader's helmet situation. They tease that in the Force Awakens trailer, and then it literally really means nothing. It doesn't do anything, doesn't go anywhere. It's just a little nice homage, I guess. But I hope there's a little bit more substance to this one.
Absolutely. And if the Emperor really is back some way, somehow, do you think that lessens the impact of what happens at the end of Return of the Jedi?
I mean, if he's back physically, like his actual self, maybe a little bit. I think it's more plausible and okay if he's a clone, or if he is a robot, projected or something. I think those are a little bit more acceptable. But, I really do accept Darth Maul being alive and well, to a point. I don't think that takes away from the moment that he, originally got cut in half there. I think it'll all work out. I think we'll still be excited about it.
Yeah, for sure. And if anyone can survive something like that, I guess it would be the Emperor, wouldn't it?
I would assume so. I mean, we didn't really see him die, we just saw him fly away, and Luke did the same exact thing. So what's the difference? He did the same thing in Empire Strikes Back. They both fell down tubes. So what's the difference? Exactly. I guess there was a little bit of electricity and stuff on the Death Star one, but we'll overlook that.
Well, what about this? What if I'm just occurring to me now, what if the Emperor was actually force projecting Return of the Jedi and he wasn't even there?
I mean, it's possible. That would that like lessen Luke's capabilities? I don't know. Maybe if they're trying to reverse everything we saw in The Last Jedi, you might as well, right?
Yeah. Let the past die, right? So a couple of things to touch on real quick before we let you go is one thing that we hear in the trailer is we hear Luke say, "We've passed on all that we know." So who do you think he's referring to? Because I'm thinking it could be maybe him and Yoda, possibly. Maybe Obi-Wan's Force Ghost. Yeah. Anakin? Is he referring more to like him, Han, and Leia? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my initial instinct is just Luke and Yoda are probably the Force Ghosts in that situation. I would love it for Obi-Wan to show up. He showed up in voice only in The Force Awakens. I would love to see him carried forward. And Anakin is somebody that I would like just die if he showed up on screen. That's my dream. My hope actually for this entire saga has been for Anakin to show back up, get a little bit of redemption, with the fan base and with the films and all that. I think that would be perfect. So I hope he shows up at some point, but I think specifically it's probably just Luke and Yoda at that point.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what approach they take with that, because I mean, right now, it's early. It's the very first teaser, so anything we see, is going to be open to interpretation. And the last thing we need to touch on, of course, is the title, The Rise of Skywalker. We finally get the title. of this film. We've been dying to know what they're going to call it, The Rise of Skywalker. So I want to know your thoughts before I talk a little bit about my feelings towards it.
Oh, well, I mean, I had actually heard a rumor just like a few days ago that Skywalker was in the title somewhere, and I didn't buy it. I was like, nah, that doesn't. I don't think it sounds right. But hey, there it is. But I think it's good. I think every Star Wars title takes a little bit of getting used to. I feel like a lot of them end up sounding a little clunky at first and don't necessarily work. But after a little bit, you're like, okay, I accept it. It's great. It's awesome. I feel like the Phantom Menace is kind of like that in that regards, where it's like that sounds a little interesting and weird, but then when you put the context of the movie and what's going on, it actually really works. And so the Rise of Skywalker, I mean, there's just like this is one of the biggest questions of the entire trailer. Like, what does that mean? Like, Luke died. I mean, I would assume Leia probably dies at some point in this movie. And it's the end of the Skywalker saga. So how is it a rise of Skywalker? My mind is boggled. But there is one little thing that I think is kind of interesting about that moment in the trailer is underneath the title sequence, you can hear like the Kylo Ren theme, and it sounds dark, but then it kind of changes and it sounds a little more positive and more impactful and I guess heroic in a way. So it's kind of interesting when you put those pieces together. He is a Skywalker technically. I mean, he's a Solo in name, but he's got that lineage in him. So I think it is this ultimately the redemption of Ben Solo? I don't know if that works. I got to see how it plays out. If I can believe it, I would have believed it in The Last Jedi when that moment when him and Rey are fighting together. That's where I wanted them to just stay together, but then he pulled a triple agent kind of deal and became a bad guy again. So is there even redemption? Is it possible at this point? I don't know, but I feel like that's what they're alluding to. Maybe that's what they're going with.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, and that's a really good observation. I totally didn't notice that about the music in that moment, but I'll look for it on the next go around because I'm sure I'm going to be looking at this all day long. And yeah, the Rise of Skywalker, I like it. I mean, it isn't anything I ever would have expected. For them to actually use like Skywalker in a title, it's different. It's a little weird, but I kind of like it. I mean, especially if this is in fact the final film in this entire Skywalker saga, which that's what they're saying. But it really is, like I said, open to interpretation as to what it means, because you said it could mean Luke, it could mean Ben, could it also mean maybe Anakin, could it mean maybe is Rey really a Skywalker? I feel like that's a little too on the nose to be the case, but or could it be something different? I think it was my buddy Tom over on Twitter was saying his interpretation was that maybe they relabeled the Jedi as the Skywalkers. And, if you train to be a Jedi, you're training to be a Skywalker. That's the legacy that it's become by this point in the saga. So it could really go a multitude of ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard, a new name for the Jedi, stuff like that, or the Resistance, like, kind of forms into a new clan or something. Like, I've heard a lot of interpretations as to what like Skywalker could mean. I think even my friend Hunter pointed out that Skywalker in Chiss, like the race that Thrawn is, means, what was it, Jedi or something like that, or I forget what he said, but it's something along those lines. So maybe that could pan out. Maybe they're laying the foundation. I think they said that in Thrawn Alliances, which is not really a book I really loved all that much, but I think laying any groundwork outside of the movies is interesting. So we'll see if that happens. I don't know though. I feel like it's more of a human thing where it's about a person. Maybe not Rey. I feel like they'll probably stick with her being nobody. I don't know. Maybe not. Who knows?
Yeah.
In the air.
Yeah, we'll see. And I'm going to have to get used to this acronym, TROS. It feels a little awkward typing it.
Yeah, well, you know what kind of bugs me about this new trilogy is they all start with the, which I don't really love that, to be honest. I like the variety and the interesting titles and stuff for the past, but this is very like the. I'm like, I wish it would have like maybe changed it up a little bit. I don't know. Or just Rise of Skywalker, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I thought about that too. Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where when it's going film to film, it's not really a big deal. But then when you step back and look at the grand scheme of all the films that have come before it, you do see that like it is very obvious. It's like,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. I didn't even think about it until somebody put it in perspective and had all the titles listed out, and I was like, oh, yeah, that is kind of weird. That is strange.
Yeah, a little like The Last Jedi coming 2 films after Return of the Jedi. It's just kind of like, okay, it's a little repetitive.
Yep. Guess I like that style though.
Yeah.
All comes full circle.
Oh, of course, full circle. Well, Brad, it's I'm really enjoying seeing this trailer. It sounds like you're loving it too, and I'm gonna turn it on again once I get off the call here with you. But yeah, it's been a blast chatting with you. Do you have any final thoughts on the teaser trailer, or what maybe we can look forward to as we wait up for the release of the Rise of Skywalker?
Oh man, I mean, Star Wars has so much to look forward to right now. I mean, especially during this weekend with Celebration, it's like so many panels, and I mean, we can't. I know you too can't wait for like Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. That's going to keep us occupied for a while, and once Disney Plus hits, man, we're going to have so much Star Wars content we won't know what to do with it. You know, The Mandalorian and Clone Wars and everything. It's crazy right now. I love it. This is the best time.
It absolutely is, and this could be the biggest year for Star Wars like ever. Like we might not see a year like this ever again. So
I don't think so. Yeah,
definitely going to soak up every moment of that, and just make the most of it and totally enjoy it. I'm sure you will too.
Oh yeah.
Well, Brad, I know you're a busy guy, so don't want to continue keeping you away from what you got to do. But as I noted a few minutes ago, you're the host of the Jurassic Park podcast, the definitive podcast for all things Jurassic Park. So where can our listeners go to learn more about the show? And also, where can they go to find you on social media?
Well, you can go to JurassicParkPodcast.com. That's our website, obviously. You got all the episodes and everything on our website there. You can follow us at Jurassic Park Pod on Instagram, Twitter. Instagram is at Jurassic Park Podcast. Same thing on Facebook. We do have a Facebook group now, so if you want to join our Facebook exclusive group, private group, you can come in there. I'm at Brad Jost on Twitter. You can find me talking about all kinds of things on there. So, yeah, I'm all over the place.
Awesome. Well, hey, Brad, thanks again, and may the Force be with you.
Awesome.
So over on Twitter, I asked, what was your favorite thing about the trailer? So I got some responses. My pal Tom Chorlton said, the hopeful prospect of going to the ruins of the Death Star, hopefully on Endor, thereby making me hope to get to see an Ewok again, then Palpatine. And it would be interesting if this was on Endor. I mean, some things in the trailer kind of seem to suggest that it should be somewhere near Endor, possibly. I mean, where else could that Death Star be, right? But this planet didn't really look like Endor. But then again, if it's anything like Earth, maybe some areas of the planet aren't forested. Maybe there are different areas of Endor that look different. So who knows? Time will tell. Ryan, also known as Laser Pants, who is representing Victoria's Cantina currently over at Star Wars Celebration, says, Death Star 2 wreckage and Palpatine laughing. Yeah, that Palpatine laugh, I think, really sealed the deal for me watching this trailer. It was just so out of left field, so unexpected, but so awesome at the same time. DJ Gill says, Lando. Creemole says, need to watch it again, had to pull over and watch it on mobile. As of right now, I'm going with the Leia theme music. Gave me some major chill bumps. Yeah, the inclusion of that music, which is so iconic, was just so awesome. And then Monster Dork says, the whole thing, does that count? In all seriousness, though, it was seeing Lando. That was great. Yeah, that absolutely was great. Well, friends, I appreciate you tuning into this episode of the Cantina Chatter podcast. Thanks again to Brad Jost for hanging out with me to talk about the trailer for The Rise of Skywalker. I will place some links in the show notes so that you can check him out and follow him, as well as the Jurassic Park podcast. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for the latest updates. And don't forget to leave your reviews for Cantina Chatter. They really help to get the word of the podcast out there to other people who might not know about it. As always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, bye-bye.